Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Elyria City Council meeting for Tuesday, January 18th, 2022. At this time, I'd like to take the moment of reflective silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Schneider, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Schneider. And those residents in attendance in the meeting, if you could please put your phones either off or on silent mode, it'd be greatly appreciated, as well as council members. Mr. Clerk, could I have roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Callahan.
Here.
Mr. Sira.
Here.
Mr. Oswald.
Here.
Mr. Corbin. Here. Mrs. Mitchell.
Here.
Here. Mr. Lippian.
Here.
Mrs. Davis.
Here.
Mrs. Simmons.
Here.
Mr. Schneider.
Here.
Mr. Stewart.
Here.
All present.
Public hearings?
We have none.
Can I get approval of the minutes?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Sira, second by Mr. Gillette. Is there further discussion?
Question.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Remarks and reports from city officials. I did speak with the mayor. He is heading out of town, so to a mayor's conference. If Safety Service Director Brubaker, if you want to expound upon that.
Yeah, so the mayor, through you, Mr. President, is headed out to D.C. for the rest of the week to attend the Nationwide Mayor's Council Symposium in D.C. He's going to be attending a multitude of seminars, including violent crime, as well as the new infrastructure monies that are potentially out there. So he's going to be working the magic to try to push some of those items forward. So he'll be out the rest of the week at that symposium.
Okay, very good. And then with that, I'll leave you with your comments.
Yes, just one thing, Mr. President, the council, as I'm sure everybody knows, we got smacked in the face over the weekend with a snowfall. On Friday, I met with Mr. Williams and Mr. Curtis from Street Department to set up what it was going to look like. At that time, we were projected to get 1 to 3. They had all 9 of our big plow trucks loaded, plowed up, ready to roll. And then on Sunday, we met again, and it shifted a little bit, and it looked like we were going to get 3 to 4. So he had scheduled the trucks to come in starting at 8 o'clock Sunday night. We spoke at 6 o'clock Sunday night, and he had those trucks coming in at 7. So they hit the road about 7 o'clock, fully loaded, ready to go, doing all of our main routes on Sunday evening. And at 11 o'clock, I spoke to Mr. Tanner, who was overseeing the overnight cruise, those 9 trucks, and everything seemed to shift to the east. And it appeared we were going to get a little bit more snow. I went out at 3:30 to meet with them in the morning, and I will tell you the roads were still very bad and continue to be bad. But those trucks rolled all night long, and it was very, very difficult to keep up. They got to a point that they weren't even salting because by the time they came back through again, it was covered and it was a waste of salt. So they worked exponentially overnight. And then at 6 o'clock in the morning, we made a determination much earlier than we typically would have done. We probably would not have started secondaries until sometime last night. And as I spoke at the last council meeting, we made adjustments to what we do, and we sent out secondary trucks at 8 o'clock Monday morning. We had 13 trucks that were running out of Central Maintenance Complex. Those are the pickup trucks and whatnot. We had another 9 trucks that were being run out of wastewater. So we had about 22 trucks on the road starting at 8 o'clock in the morning. And I will give a lot of kudos to Mr. Williams and Mr. Tanner as they man the bulk of the city routes, but also Mr. Brandon Valley from wastewater. He handled the 9 trucks. Basically, wastewater handles the side streets north of 57, pretty much the north side of town, and then Mr. Williams and Street Department handle everything else. And they typically work from the outside in. Just to paint a picture for you, they go to the outside, farthest points of the city and they work inwards. I know that things weren't perfect. I did receive a lot of calls, emails, text messages from residents thankful for how fast their streets were done. You always get the some that their streets weren't done, and we followed up with that today. Although we weren't perfect, I will tell you that I am ecstatic with the response that our team gave. We have, on the secondaries, we have probably half of the people that responded that signed up for plowing secondaries are all within their first year or two. So they don't have a lot of experience driving those plow trucks. They got a little bit this weekend. So kudos to them, but I'll be actually meeting with Mr. Curtis and Mr. Williams tomorrow to go over their budget. Then we'll also do what I call an after-action report, what went well, what didn't go well. Will tell you that I spoke to Mr. Strozak, our central maintenance garage supervisor today. Because of issue $6 and because of the number of all new equipment that we have on the road, we had one truck out of all those trucks that went down, and it was a minor situation. It was actually one of our pre-issue 6 trucks. So that made a huge difference in keeping those trucks operating and on the road. So kudos to all of our drivers that were out. I know police and fire were out. One thing that I track is motor vehicle accidents with injuries, and I get a report on my phone every time 911 calls out fire. The only one that we got was at 8 o'clock Sunday night. From that time on through the rest of the evening into all through Monday, there was no other accidents with injuries, and there might have been some fender benders and whatnot. But that goes to the residents also staying off the roads, the holiday, as well as people driving cautiously. So with that, I will step back and answer any questions that you may have.
Mr. Oswald?
Through Mr. President, I'd have to say that was probably the best job that I've seen. I had one call from somebody that their street always seems to get passed up, but my street even got done. I stopped the guy and I'm like, what are you doing here so early? And it was early in the morning, so I think they did a great job. I don't know how you guys, if you got many calls, but I would just like to say that, hi, thank you very much. What you did to turn around and make the change, it did work, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Oswald. Any other? Mr. Sierra?
Through you, I would agree pretty much with what he said. The only thing I have is it was pretty troubling seeing all the cars that were parked on the side of the streets that make this job even that much more difficult. This storm was, broadcast well in advance, and I just don't understand why people can't put their cars up in their driveway. Actually, it would save them from having to shovel some of the driveway if it was parked there, but to allow the plows to do their job. Thank you.
Mr. Brubaker, you want to respond?
Unfortunately, if I'd have known what we was going to get on Friday, I would have issued the snow parking ban that we have in the city ordinance. Unfortunately, by the time we figured out what we were going to get, because it kept moving east, and there could be people say, well, everybody else knew it was going to get. You could say that, but had I known what we were going to get versus the 1 to 3, we would have issued that snow parking ban, and that would have alleviated some of that. But again, once we issue those types of things, then we rely on the police department to enforce that and our truck drivers to say, hey, this street, I have a ton of cars on here, can we do something about it? But yes, Mr. Sarah, that would have been something we could have done.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Brubaker? Well, please pass it on to the employees who are out there who, I know that's their job, but, it's greatly appreciated because they did a fantastic job with it based on the conditions that they're dealt with. So kudos to them. Assistant Law Director, Finance Director Plusky.
Nothing at this time, Mr. President.
Assistant Law Director Deering. Wow, I screwed that all up.
Did I just get promoted?
Assistant Law Director Bruning, my apologies.
Thank you, Mr. President. Nothing to report, but I would ask that prior to adjournment tonight, that we go into executive session to discuss matters of collective bargaining.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. Bruning. Elyria Police Department, Chief Pelko.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just would like to report, last week we had a significant drug seizure. Patrick and I out of Columbus, Ohio, came into our city. We seized over a kilo of fentanyl, 500 fentanyl pills, some crystal meth, and 2 firearms. Great job to my narcotics officers in the investigative division for that seizure. And I would like to think with all the overdoses that we probably saved some lives by taking that individual off the street. We are going to pursue charges against him federally, hoping to get some more time going that route with our partners, the FBI. With that said, on Monday, the 24th, we're going to have some promotions. We're going to have Lieutenant Grooms is going to get promoted to captain. Sergeant Palmer, Sergeant Lance will get promoted to lieutenant, and Officer Straub and Detective Mahoney will get promoted to sergeant on Monday, the 24th, 3 o'clock in here. So,
Very good. Very good. Any questions for Chief Pelko? Mr. Gillette.
Through you, Mr. President. Chief, great job on that bus. That's awesome. And the amount of fentanyl, although it didn't give the appearance of a semi-load full of cocaine, that amount of fentanyl could kill thousands. It was that big, so great job.
Thank you, Chief. Elyria Fire Department, Chief Pernesti. Any questions for Chief Pernesti? Great. Assistant Safety Service Director, Ms. Calvert. Any questions? No? Very good. Ms. Scott, Director of Community Development.
Through you, I would just like to report that we received notification, I'm going to take this off so you can hear me better, that the city did receive Community Housing Impact and Preservation Program funds from the state of Ohio. We made that application last spring. So starting today through March 4th, the Community Development Department is accepting applications for our private owner rehab program. So those applications will be available online starting tomorrow, or residents can call our department. We can put them in the mail or email them as well.
Okay, very good. Any questions for Ms. Scott? Thank you, Ms. Scott. Ms. McKillips, City Engineer. Any questions for Ms. McKillips at this time? All right, very good. I think I have everybody. President's referrals and remonstrances. Item number 1, community development. Item number 2, community development. Item number 3, community development. Item number 4, community development. Item number 5, community development. Item number 6, community development. Item number 7, community development. Item number 8, to Finance and Utility Safety and Environment Committees. Item number 9, to Finance and Utility Safety and Environment Committees. And then I'm going to make a referral here. We received a letter from the Elyria Muni Court in regards to salary, so I'm going to put that on the Finance Committee. And then item number 10, received and placed on file in the clerk's office. Petitions and remonstrances from the lobby.
We have one, Nick Casaros, 6326 Lake Avenue, Ohio Edison.
Welcome. Please state your name and address for the record. Nick, I don't know if your mic's on. There's a green button there, right around the mic in itself.
Perfect. Can't take me anywhere. Anyways, Nick Casaros, Ohio Edison. I know I've worked with many of you in the past, but wanted to introduce myself to the new members of council who I haven't had the opportunity to meet yet. I'm your contact for First Energy Ohio Edison, so anything Ohio Edison related within any of your areas, feel free to contact me at any time. Happy to help. I know I work closely with Mr. Brubaker on, almost a daily basis sometimes, but like I said, any of you need me for anything, don't be a stranger. I answer my phone 24 hours a day. So while I'm here, is there anything within your areas that you need me to address?
Any questions from the council members in regards to Ms. Davis.
Through you, Mr. Chair, do you by any chance have a card with you so we can
Yes.
have it in our?
Yeah, I left some of the cards over there. Yep. So my cell phone's on there, so
Got
cell
a
phone,
handful.
email are on there, so feel free to reach out.
Very good. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
Ms. Mitchell?
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you, I've worked with Nick and very responsive and very helpful. So thank you so much.
Thanks, all I have to hear. Thank
Good.
you.
Look forward to working with you here in the future. Anybody else?
That's it?
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a nice night.
Thank you. Petitions and remonstrances from council members.
There are none?
Reports of standing and special committees. Resolutions, first reading.
We have reports of standing and special committees first.
Right.
We have considered the matter of a liquor license request by Speedway LLC for store number 3698 located at 990 East Broad Street, Elyria, and the city of Elyria does not request a hearing.
Mr. Callahan.
Mr. President, I move that this committee report be passed on its first reading.
Second?
Second by Ms. Mitchell. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
Question be called. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Committee report 2022-1. We have considered the matter of a liquor license request by Speedway LLC for store number 8556 located at 895 Lorraine Boulevard, Elyria, and the city of Elyria does not request a hearing.
Mr. Callahan.
Mr. President, I move that this committee report be passed on its first reading.
Second?
Second by Ms. Mitchell. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Committee report 2022-2. We have considered the matter of a liquor license request by Speedway LLC for store number 3379 located at 710 Griswold, Elyria, and the city of Elyria does not request a hearing.
Mr. Callahan.
Mr. President, I move that this committee report be passed on its first reading.
Second?
Second by Ms. Mitchell. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Committee report 2022-3. We have considered the matter of a liquor license request by Al-Alim Temple number 0223 Grenadier Club to be transferred to 1519 West Avenue, Fraternity LLC DBA 1519 Club located at 1519 West Avenue, Elyria, and the city of Elyria does not request a hearing.
Mr. Callahan.
Mr. President, I move that this committee report be passed on its first reading.
Second?
Second by Ms. Mitchell. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Committee report 2022-4. That's all the committee reports.
Resolutions, first reading.
We have one, sponsored by Finance, a resolution approving a list submitted by the Safety Service Director for the collection of delinquent inactive utility accounts and directing the Clerk of Council to certify said accounts to the Lorraine County Auditor.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I ask that this resolution be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules.
Second by Ms. Davis. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Resolution 2022-2. That's all resolutions. First reading.
Resolution, second reading.
There are none.
Resolutions, third reading.
There are none.
Ordinances, first reading.
Sponsored by Community Development and Finance. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to issue a request for proposal to develop a comprehensive plan and perform a planning and zoning code update for the city of Elyria.
Mr. Callahan.
Mr. President, I move that this ordinance be passed on its first reading under suspension of rules.
Second. Second by Mr. Schneider. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2022-1. Sponsored by Community Development and Finance. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a housing revolving loan fund administration agreement with the State of Ohio Development Services Agency and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Callahan.
Mr. President, I move that this ordinance be passed on its first reading under suspension of rules and declare an emergency.
Second.
Second by Mr. Schneider. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the emergency, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2022-2. Sponsored by Finance. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with McDonald Hopkins LLC for economic development legal services.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I ask that this ordinance be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules.
Second.
Second by Mr. Lippian. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2022-3. That's all ordinances first reading.
Ordinance is second.
There are none.
Reading. Ordinance is third reading.
There are none.
Committee calls.
Community Development requests the presence of the Law Director, Safety Service Director, Building Inspector, and Engineer on Monday, 1/31, 6 p.m. All items referred. Joint CD Finance requests the Mayor, Law Director, Finance Director, Safety Service Director, and Engineer on Monday, 1/31, immediately following Community Development meeting. All items referred. Finance requests the Mayor, Law Director, Finance Director, and Safety Service Director, and Engineer on Monday, 1/31, immediately following joint meeting. All items referred. Utility Safety Environment requests the Law Director, Safety Service Director, and Engineer on Wednesday, 2/9, 6 p.m. All items referred. A Strategic Planner requests the Mayor, Safety Service Director, Finance Director, Law Director on Monday, 2/7, immediately following council meeting. All items referred.
Miscellaneous and unfinished business. Anybody? Oh, at this point, I guess, Mr. Bruning?
Again, I would ask that somebody make a motion to go into executive session to discuss matters of collective bargaining.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Moved and seconded. Got a roll call vote.
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Mr. Oswald?
Aye.
Mr. Corbin?
Aye.
Mrs. Mitchell?
Aye.
Mr. Tolet?
Aye.
Mr. Lippian?
Aye.
Mrs. Davis?
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons?
Aye.
Mr. Schneider?
Aye.
Mr. Stewart?
Aye.
All ayes.
Very good. At this time, could I ask the general public to please step out?
Do we have any legislation after this?
There will be no action taken.
Okay.